This is actress Sharon Stone, and I guess she was, all the woes of being a poor millionaire, and how us peasants needs to do better. So,
Um, Italy has seen fascism. Italy has seen these things. You guys, you understand what happens. You have seen this before. My country is in its adolescence. Adolescence is very arrogant. Adolescence thinks it knows everything. Adolescence is naive and ignorant and arrogant. And we are in our ignorant, arrogant adolescence.
mm,
That is outrageous. I mean, listen, I don't see how you, an American citizen, can feel comfortable going on some kind of public space and trash your country in front of foreign people. I mean, I'm not saying our country is perfect. I'm not saying we're above reproach, but what kind of disloyalty is that? Who does
right?
that? You look like a
Yeah.
fool. You think that they're your friends because they applaud you. They're not. They think you're a fool also. You might think of yourself being superior because look at me, I'm criticizing my country. But most people around the world actually support their countries even when they're not as great as the United States. I think that's horrible what she's doing.
Yeah, imagine that. Actually liking your country.
I mean, you know what? You know what? We talk about this from the point of view of God's perspective. I was astonished, Fletcher, to learn from a priest that love of country is a virtue. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
I know they said Aristotle or somebody said that first, but like love of neighbor, love of God, love of your family, love of your friends, agape, philia, all that. Patria, where we get the word patriotism, is similar. It means love of country. It's actually a good thing. It's actually the same way you should love your children. It's like you can't choose your family. You should try to make them better, but you have to love them. That's the same with your country. It's something evil to hate your country. You're supposed to love your country, even if it's imperfect. You're supposed to because it's what God gave you. It's where he saw fit to put you. You
Right.
got to be somewhere. And so I feel this is just horrible. I think it's such a bad look. She looks like she's aging horribly. And I think it's because of her attitude more than her cosmetics. It's not about, facelifts or it's about what's inside of you. It comes out.
Mm.
It just looks so I love it. Yeah, a Hollywood has been. I'm sorry, Latino Slant got it right. Um He's right. And she's acting like one. You know how you become a not has been by being relevant. Saying something like that is not. That's not cool. Why don't you stick to the arts? If you talked about America's adolescence in film, which we're not. We're leaders in film. But maybe if you said, America as an adolescent in terms of say the traditional arts, right? You could go to
Right.
Italy and see paintings from literally 1,000 years ago. I mean, you go
Right.
to France. When I went to France, I was astonished to see sculptures and things. They have churches that have been around since like honestly, there was one from like I think like 700 AD. It was something crazy like that. 1000 AD. I mean, you're talking a long time ago, right? Okay, they are our elder brothers with that because you could say we're in our adolescence artistically, but to
Oh yeah.
say something like in general, like we're just a bunch of spoiled teenagers in terms of our politics. Are you serious? The United States Constitution is preeminent in the world. Most countries are trying to do what we're doing. How dare you sit up there and talk about us as though we're some kind of country bumpkins? She said something also, Fletcher,
Oh
like
yeah.
we
She's
don't have
coming into it.
passports.
She's
Okay,
coming to
okay. Don't
that.
get
Yeah.
me. I'm getting wound up
Oh,
here,
hold up.
Fletcher.
Hold
Getting
up.
wound up.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Getting wound up. So get me started on this Sharon
before
Stone
in our
chick.
country. So Americans who don't travel, who 80% don't have a passport,
Want to
who
kick her
are
butt.
uneducated, are in their extraordinary naivete. What I can say is that the only way that we
This dude's like, okay, we got to pull this chick off.
You can see
He's
even he's
just-
starting to be worried.
He's like,
And he's like French or something, right?
I
Isn't she
think
like,
I don't know. I think they're in Italy or something. But
is it
the guy's
Italy or
gonna
France?
mira, questa cosa, esta donna.
Okay, can I just say, okay, there's a lot to unpack here. I need to stop talking. Fletcher, you go talk. I have a lot to say, but I feel like,
No, it's more of along the lines of uneducated Americans. I mean, you would think we have, the premier institutions, college institutions in the world, uh, you know, in all over the world. When everybody thinks of learning, they think of places like Harvard, like Yale, and they're in the United States. And I don't see where
I mean,
she gets it, because her whole industry is based on the United States. Yes, there are awesome industries all over the world. They have film, and some people might say that the United States is it's a little slowing down a little bit on the cusp of cinema, but not really. I mean, right now, everything that's a blockbuster, everything that's uh, put out there that changes the world so far is always coming from the United States. Movie industry, TV industry. I mean, yeah, there's been some changes, but I mean, it's pretty much up there. So it's
and I mean the snobbery of someone who, from my understanding, comes from like Northwest Pennsylvania. Okay, she's not from, like, you know what I mean? She's not from Chartres. She's not from like, the
what? She's
Hamptons.
not. She's not
She's
from
I
Athens.
mean, you know what? You got to be famous for, basically, I mean, no
Hold up.
offense.
I know what you're
Okay,
gonna say.
I won't
I
say
think
it.
I think
I'll
it's
try to remain Catholic.
uncharitable.
I'll try to remain
Yes.
Catholic about it,
Hold.
but
I'm
I'm gonna
trying to
say,
help you. Trying to help you. We're
okay,
trying to
okay,
stay
but
away from
I,
confession here.
I'm trying. Okay, all right. Someone who got famous for doing a provocative scene. Okay, I didn't go
Very
there,
much.
and that's what made people know you. And so you made your money, and now you can travel and go and sell Americans. But guess what? If it wasn't for America's movie industry, nobody would know your name, and you would still
Right.
be, slinging burgers somewhere if you got that job. Because you know what? That's how you got so-called educated and so-called got your passport. I have more to say about this, but the snobbery of this is so ridiculous because, first of all, Americans are very well traveled. They may not be well internationally traveled, but let me explain something to my viewers, and I want to take on Sir Glenn's comments too in the comments, which are great. um America is an extremely large country. In fact, there was this interesting Englishman who came here, young man. He did a video saying, I always thought it was kind of weird and xenophobic that Americans don't seem to travel internationally that much. He goes, then I came to live here for a year or two or something
Right.
like that. And he goes, every single state is like its own country. It's huge.
Right.
And he goes, like, I didn't have any understanding. Like, Kentucky is so different than Tennessee, which is so different than California, which is so different than Hawaii, which is so different from Georgia, which is so different from Montana, which is so different from Wyoming, which is so different from Maine, which is so different from New York. And I could go on and on. The size of France is like the size of what Tennessee. So people, we have a huge country that's varied in its geography, its topography, its culture, its language. Check out Louisiana and tell me that's not like a different country, or Texas. You literally have people speaking different languages. We have in the city of Houston, Texas alone, there are 145 languages spoken. Okay? Let's get real here.
Ah,
We
but you need a passport.
we don't need a passport to be open-minded and have different cultures in the United States. We are a hugely, heterogeneous group. It's not like going to France before, the invasion, and you just met French people. It's always been unique in that way. There's Africans, Native Americans, Englishmen. We've always been diverse. So what she's talking about, like, oh, they don't have a passport, they don't have any exposure. We have plenty of exposure. We have more exposure than someone in Europe who just knows Europeans and the underclass of people they've been immigrating in. Okay, drop my mic right now, Fletcher.
Uh, it's
So her
already dropped.
snobbery is so misplaced. And as Sir Glenn says, these people, he said, I've worked with restaurant servers that would come back from Belize, which is just in South America, with an attitude like the ancient one just made them sorcerer supreme. Yeah, I mean, it's true. You meet these. I mean, it's always like the snobby people. They go overseas and now they think they know the whole world. Come on, Sharon Stone. I bet you I've been to more countries than she has, even with her millions. I bet you I have.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
bet I've lived more places and know more things. I bet I
Right.
speak better languages than she does. Okay,
Right.
that's outrageous. And you know what? The people chose. We've selected whom we wanted as president. Okay, get over it and stop going on places and making us look bad. And you just make yourself look bad.
Totally.
I choose to smile.